Welcome back, Legendary Potato here. Today I'm going to show you guys how you can build your own SkyWars map in Minecraft. I'm going to show you guys with an easy, simple to follow tutorial how you can make your own customizable SkyWars maps in Minecraft. Hopefully you guys will find this video helpful. If you do enjoy it, of course, be sure to leave a like on it as it does help out. And well, let's get right into this exactly. So SkyWars is a popular minigame that has come around since Java Edition and then came to Bedrock Edition. Is also played on Minecraft Console Edition a little bit as well. There's been so many different interpretations of this minigame. It's been one that's been very popular for such a long time on Minecraft. A lot of people take this minigame as one to heart, to remember forever. This is a really cool, fun one to make, so let's go ahead and get started with the tutorial how you can make your own SkyWars map in Minecraft following these easy steps. So let's start off with the basics. You're going to want to make sure your players can't get out of spawn. So the best way to do this is to enclose a spawn area in Bedrock, because this is an unbreakable block, so players will not be able to get out of here. And so you're going to want to make this about 23 by 23. So as you can see here, I've also done this in the center of the world. So if I pull this out, so I've just set it up so it's really nice and easy to find this right at the center of the map. Oops, so as you can see right here, here's the center spawn. And then you just go a few blocks over this way to about x equals 11, x equals 12. Around here is the spawn range of a normal survival or creative world where players will be able to spawn. So you want to make sure players can't get in or out of this place. So lock this up with high bedrock walls. I've had just normal bedrock walls up to here, but I've also seen players hit each other up and over it. But this seems to cover it just fine. You'll be able to do that without any problem. So make sure they can't get in. You don't want players going into your map. If the map's close to spawn, then players might be able to build over into spawn. Players might be able to get out of spawn into the map. Don't risk it. Just make sure you have a bedrock and you'll be okay. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's get into the actual map. So I have a lot of spacing going on here. There's actually a lot of things that go into making a SkyWars map. So let's start off with the most common thing that you're going to start off with, which is probably going to be the player islands. These are going to be the islands the player spawns on, so that being marked out with the diamond blocks. This is going to be where your player starts. This is where they gather their first resources and, try to traverse to the center to get the extra loot. So there's going to be about 4 or 8 of these. You can decide which one you prefer. So having one here, I have in diagonal amounts as well. So as you can see here, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But if you just want to do 4, keep it simple, then 4 is really easy to set up as well. So I do recommend you do set this up with something like glass and mark out your spots like this. So marking out your player islands and then doing these islands. If you want to do these are optional. Mark those out with a different block. And then the center, make sure you mark that one out very clearly as well so you know which one's which. And then you'll be able to understand what your map's going to look like. So just take the time, quickly put in your glass. This obviously will be temporary. You'll get rid of the glass at the end of the map when you're done. So you want to give the player enough space to be able to do anything on their island. So giving them about 10, 15, maybe 20 blocks of diameter space would be a good amount. So let's just kind of start here. So I'll make a very simple design. So what we'll do is we'll go a few blocks this way. We'll go out about 7 in each direction. So we'll go 7 out here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Counted those all differently. So just giving them some sort of island to work with will be just fine. So here's the island I made here. It's a really decent size. Just for one player, this will be more than enough space for them to do anything. And so let's get into what you'll probably want to put on these islands when you get started. So you're going to want to have some sort of chest that the player is going to grab. You can have 1 chest, you can have 2 chests, maybe even 3 chests, but I'm going to stick to 1 chest. Actually, I'll do 2 chests for this. So maybe space them out a decent amount, put them in 2 different locations so the player can run around, get these chests. And then you're going to want you put your starting loot. So you're going to want to keep this loot relatively weak. You don't want to give them anything too strong. So that being things like maybe a bow, a couple of arrows, maybe some weak armor like leather, and maybe some starting food. So that being like apples or maybe even watermelon, something weak, so that it won't heal them up too much. You kind of want to make sure that you kind of push them to wanting to get more loot from the center. So these are good examples of items they can give them. If you even want to give them other starting loot, you can give them some starting tools as well. So you can give them some wooden tools if you want to help them start a little bit. So the first, minerals they get aren't as bad as they could be. So saves them a little bit of a step if you really want to do that. And then in the other chest, you can fill it in with whatever you like. You could do very similar items to this. You could do other items, or even if you want to fill in your chest a little bit more randomly. So if you want to make your items feel a little bit more random, then you can kind of throw in different things here. And so what you throw in these chests is going to determine how your game is going to be played. So if you don't give them any blocks at all, it's going to be a little bit more of a slower paced game. So the games will last longer, more strategy involved. If you give them blocks, such as giving them some oak wood, giving them stone, cobblestone, giving them items like these, it'll make the game very fast paced. So you'll be seeing players immediately heading over to the center. So personally, I prefer not giving them the blocks, so I'm going to take the blocks out. But however you want your gameplay style to be, you can determine it usually by giving them blocks like that or other items as well. Next, you're going to want to fill in your item with some minerals as well. So that thing, being things like coal, gold, iron, all that sort of good stuff, and even lapis. And lapis could be cool as well if you include enchantment tables. Obviously I just kind of threw my stuff around here, but let's say you use enchantment tables. You need lapis to enchant. And so if you give them the option to get their own lapis in order to enchant, that could actually make a really cool strategic gameplay thing where you have to, have them go get their own lapis. So you could do that. They could even make their own enchantment table. You could give them that, of course, as well if you want to, or even put it maybe in the center or something. If you want to give players starting items, you can give them a crafting table, a furnace, an enchantment table, and an anvil, which will make the gameplay a little bit easier for them. They don't have to go out of the way to make some of these things. So makes it a little bit faster, but not required. But if you want players to be able to enchant or add books or repair or do any of that sort of stuff, I'd recommend you add these two, but totally not needed. You don't need these either if you don't want to. But I like having them in my map, so I'm going to put these down. One thing that is an absolute no-go is beds. Do not put beds in your SkyWars map at all. This is not a Bed Wars map. This is a SkyWars map. Players only get one respawn, or no respawns at all. They only get one life. That's it. So no beds. They're going to spawn back in there. So don't even do anything with beds. Leave those out. One thing I would also recommend to avoid is water. So the thing is about Minecraft Console Edition is that you can't have a void world, or if you have a void world, you just walk on it normally. You can walk down there. And so if you give them water or some sort of way to get down to the bottom of the map, then they'll be able to walk down here. Outside of the map, you won't be able to kill them, and they can run away, which is not a great thing. So try to avoid water if at all possible, but you can use the water on the map. Just be a little bit careful and be aware that that is a thing you can run into. Same things with the Elytras as well. You can run into the problem with a player can ride down to the bottom of the world and run away as well. So avoid Elytras if you want to. You can also make the world out of lava. If you want to make the entire map out of lava, it'll make it a little bit harder, but the player still with the water, they can turn the lava into obsidian. So be a little bit careful of what you choose. I like to choose Bedrock because it's just the lowest that you can go and just kind of gives it a good look. Nothing you can break down here. So once you're happy with these starter islands, this was very oversimplified just to keep the tutorial basic. We'll go on to these islands. These are completely optional. I like having these. They add a little bit more to the gameplay. So these ones can be a little bit smaller than those islands, but probably maybe even the smallest islands, but you can make them bigger if you want to. And these are going to be evenly spaced between 3 different islands, so that being this island, and this island. So it gives the players in the corners an option to go to this one or this one. So something to keep in mind is that these players have slight advantage over these ones because they can just go quickly to either one. They can choose, but for these players, they have to go to this one. So for this island, I'm going to go about 5 from the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just kind of do that. So it'll be about 11 by 11, which is not too big, but you are going to possibly run into some battles here as well, which I'll get into. Okay, so here's the island here. It's slightly smaller than that island, but not by much. And so make sure you add some sort of decent, maybe mid-range loot here. So we'll put down one chest. I think that's all you really need. I'd recommend putting it maybe in the center, so it at least kind of feels like equal opportunity for all players. And so you can fill in this loot with whatever you'd like, so that being maybe like an enchanted pickaxe, maybe some slightly better armor, so maybe like chain leggings, more arrows, because arrows are always crucial to the gameplay. Maybe a slightly better food as well, so golden carrots are a really good food source, for example, and maybe a potion. Potions are really great for gameplay, so I like adding sometimes instant damage and poison. So throw in whatever you'd like, of course. The loot can vary quite a lot, whatever you want to do. One of my fun favorite things to add as well is TNT. Just throw some TNT in there and the game will be a lot more fun, I'll guarantee you that. So you have to make sure this loot is decent, but also not overpowered. You want to give incentive to the players on their starting islands, a reason to come over to these islands and take some of the loot here. So make sure the loot's kind of good. We're also going to create some barriers so that the players in here can't get instantly killed if they use the cover accordingly. So what we can do is put up some cover points so that the player can hide in case they need to heal up, because getting to these islands can sometimes be difficult if you have players who are constantly watching you, which is a really good strategy to make sure that no other player gets here. You want to make sure this loot's for you and only you, and stop anyone else from getting in here. But to the players that are in here, maybe giving them some sort of cover points so that they can hide, heal up, do whatever they need to do, but also being able to get to the chest. So you can make these as strong or as weak as you'd like, but honestly it can vary as much as you want. But they can also put up their own. Since they're going to have their own blocks, they can do that themselves anyways. But something here at least I think is kind of nice, and you can even make it look aesthetically cool as well, just having something on the island. Same thing with minerals. You can put some minerals in the island as well, so if you just want to throw these around, maybe if the player wants to go mining in here, you can do that. And so that'll make the gameplay nice if anyone takes advantage of that. Most of the time players aren't going to do that, so you don't have to focus on this too much if you don't want to do that. You don't really have to. Many players aren't going to try to do that. And so you're going to have about 4 of these islands as well, so you can do a very similar thing to each of these other 3 ones as well. You could set up 8 of these by having them equally in the center over here, but I feel like that's just a little bit too much. Maybe if you added a little bit more spacing between each of your islands, then you'll be able to. Okay, so now that you've done all that, you can do the center island. You can also do the center island first, which is what I prefer to do, of course, and actually kind of gives you a great idea how you want to set up your theme of the map. But this is going to be the biggest island. This is going to be the island, the control point. So you may even want to give some higher grounds, some really good loot to getting here, because it's going to be very difficult getting past all of the players, getting through the map. See, here's the size of my island here. I probably went out about 8, 9 or so blocks from the center, so about 8 or 9 radius. So really big island compared to the other ones. And so you're going to want to put down quite a few chests here. I'd recommend maybe about 4, 5. Sounds about good, so I'll put like each of them on the corners. So something like this, just kind of having them on each side is pretty neat. So I'll put this chest like this. And so you kind of want to separate the loot in each of these so that it doesn't give just one chest being the really stacked chest. So since players are going to be fighting over these chests, separating it out can actually make it a little bit more fair. So I'll even put one in the center. Maybe this one will be a little bit more higher up. So I don't know, maybe you can determine something about that later. But you can do whatever you like for this. I'll have about 5 chests for this. Okay, so the loot in these chests are going to be pretty decent. Nothing overpowered. You don't want the players in here to be completely stacked. But you do want to give really good incentive to get these chests. So that being maybe give them something like full chain armor, maybe some iron armor, but do not give them full diamond armor. This is not a good idea at all. You should let the players try and get the diamond armor by getting diamonds themselves, which will make it very difficult but very rewarding if you're able to accomplish that. Here's a bunch of items I'm going to throw in here. Not really any particular stuff, but I threw in some armor, some arrows, some food, lava bucket, TNT, and a bunch of just items in general that the player can use. So you can really customize a lot of this stuff, but again, you don't want to be too crazy with it. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to give them every single great item. So that being like, don't give them full diamond armor and like, I don't know, notch apples. No, that's ridiculous. So keep it nice and simple. Like this stuff is really nice and will fit the gameplay really well. And so let's say you build a chest really high up, so maybe there's like a way to get up here or something for other players. And so you could have really good stuff in here. Maybe you could reward them by having like diamond boots in here, some more arrows, maybe flint steel, whatever you want to throw in. This loot's going to be stuff that you really want the player to earn, so nothing too crazy, but maybe diamond boots. Again, that might be pushing it a little bit. You can try it if you want to, and you can always change the items if you feel like something's too powerful or not powerful enough. So yeah, as you can see, just throw in whatever you like, maybe a food thing as well. So that being maybe a golden apple. Golden apples may be pushing it a little bit, so limit the amount of golden apples you put in if you're putting in any at all. So once you have all of the islands done, obviously I only have these 3 islands done, you're just going to want to get rid of the glass that you put in earlier, so that then obviously you can play the map without the glass being in there, since otherwise it wouldn't be SkyWars. So once all your glass is gone, then the map's ready to play. You might want to have some sort of pods or system to get each player in the game. What I like to do personally is I like to make some glass pods and with some carpet on top to represent the player. Don't even have to do that, but just some sort of glass pod. I'll do it, I don't know, a few blocks high. You don't want it too high because you'll damage the player. But if you do want it a little bit higher up, you can always use slime blocks, water, haystacks, beds. Actually, don't use beds. That's contradicting what I said earlier. But some sort of thing. So then you give them build and mine permissions. So you just go down to their player, give them build and mine. Obviously, I'm my own player, so it's not going to do anything. You do that, they'll be able to break the glass, jump down here, and they can get started with the game. And so if you get really good at that, then you can start every player very quickly. So you'll just want to set up each of these right above each of the bases. So go ahead and do that 8 times around, of course. So now you've probably finished your SkyWars map. Maybe it looks something like this, maybe it doesn't. But you can be as detailed as you'd like. Obviously, I went pretty overkill with this map. But you can put in as much love as you'd like, and like I put in a ton of other stuff as well, like trees. There's a little mine that comes down to here where players can get their chest loot. So here's some of the things I threw in. So I have like leather tunic, some potions, tools, and TNT. Everything you probably saw when I did that earlier, and tons of other stuff you can get. I put in redstone in case anybody wanted to use that, but I have not seen anybody use redstone at all. And so here's the things, all the stuff I had mentioned before. And so you can really just be as crazy with this as you want to be. Here's some water. I decided to use water for pretty much the purpose of landing the players inside of here. I don't see it being too much of a problem that the water's in the center, but if you give a player a water bucket, then you're pretty much giving them opportunity to go out of the map. I believe I also used black, stained terracotta. So yeah, there's also that on the ground. Kind of gives it a darker feel, but Bedrock works just as fine. In these chests, I have some more armor, so it looks like enchanted stuff. So you can customize the enchantments. I put unbreaking on this, but you could do things like efficiency or anything. You don't want to do like efficiency 5, but maybe like efficiency 1 or 2 would actually be a really cool thing to do. In these center ones, I actually have pieces of full iron armor, which might be a little bit too powerful, but as you can see, each of these chests has a part of iron armor. So players can get to this, can't guarantee that they'll get all of it, so a player can stop them as they're trying to get all these chests. Also includes an enchantment table and minerals underneath the islands. Each of the islands have minerals underneath. I don't think we can see anything from this one, from the outside at least. But they're also really nicely decorated, which is cool. But yeah, you don't have to be this extreme. There's a lot that went into these maps, of course. And there's the pods I mentioned. And here's another example is the desert over here. So very similar to the other one as well. Sizing and everything I think is identical. So they land in the water, so no fall damage. They can get out of here. They can also land on top of the well as well, so they can land up here and go in, so actually probably slightly faster if you do that. As you can see, same sort of stuff as before. Get all these things, minerals everywhere. Chest is very similar as well, if not identical to that. These islands go as follows, so as you can see, very similar setup, and of course the center, which is the control point, also has a very similar setup to having this armor like that. So lots of customization. You don't have to do things exactly like how I did them. This is your map. You can do whatever you like with it. This is how I did it. This is how I would build my map. But when you're building yours is going to be unique and different and kind of vary a lot. But I made sure every detail was really nice and specific, and everything looks nice aesthetically, plays nice, and that's just kind of the result you can get. But hopefully this video was somewhat helpful to you guys. You guys hopefully will be able to build your own SkyWars map in Minecraft. This can apply to all versions of Minecraft as well. This doesn't apply to just one specific version. You can use this tutorial on all of them. If this did help you out at all, you can let me know by leaving a like and a comment on the video, letting me know, of course, that it did help you out. I would appreciate hearing that, or if you guys have any questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments section. I'll try to answer you guys, of course, if you have any. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys, and peace out.